Admiral Frank Collins stood still as stone. Through the big window of his ship, he saw only fire and death. New Phoenix Colony, once full of life and hope, now lay in ruins. Black smoke rose from burning buildings. Bodies lay scattered across streets. The alien attack had killed over 30,000 humans in just 6 hours. "Sir, they never tried to talk to us," said Lieutenant Susan Gray. Her hands shook with anger as she handed him the report. "We found out they belonged to something, called the Galactic Council. They say we crossed into their space when we moved past Mars." Collins slammed his fist on the metal rail. "Did they ever try to contact us peacefully before they killed our people?" "No, sir, never." Gray pointed to the screen showing alien ships regrouping nearby. "Our scouts report the Council has one main rule: kill any new spacefaring species before they grow strong enough to be a problem." Collins looked around at his crew. Every face showed shock, horror, or rage. For 100 years, humans had carefully moved out into space, first to the moon, then Mars, and finally to nearby stars. They had been peaceful explorers, building small colonies and research stations, and this was what they got in return: slaughter. "Call Earth Command now," Collins ordered. "Tell them we need every warship we have." Gray looked worried. "Sir, the alien ships are much more advanced than ours. Their weapons can—" "I know we're outgunned, Lieutenant." Collins cut her off. "But they made one big mistake." "What mistake, sir?" Collins stared at the distant lights of the alien fleet, his eyes cold as space itself. "They didn't finish the job. They should have killed every last one of us." 1 day later, Earth's leaders approved Operation Swift Vengeance. For the first time ever, all of Earth's military ships would fight beyond our solar system. The aliens didn't know that humans had been preparing for hostile first contact for generations. Dr. Alice Howard rushed through the halls of Earth Defense Headquarters. At 62, with silver hair and sharp eyes, she was the world's top expert on dark energy weapons. For 15 years, her work had been only theory, too dangerous to build, until today. She entered the war room where General Paul Martinez waited with other military leaders. A large 3D image of the destroyed colony floated above the table, showing the full extent of the massacre. "The attack changes everything," Martinez said, his face grim in the blue light. "Dr. Howard, we need the Phoenix Protocol." Alice felt cold fear spread through her body. "The protocol was never meant to be used. Our tests show it could rip holes in space-time and— 30,000 dead civilians, Doctor," Martinez said firmly. "And our spies say the Zeraxians see this as just a warning. Earth is their next target." Alice looked at the serious faces around her. She had spent her life seeking knowledge to help humanity. The Phoenix Protocol was the darkest use of that knowledge. "How fast can you get the weapons ready?" asked Admiral Nancy Rodriguez. Alice took a deep breath. 3 days, maybe 4. Martinez nodded. "Then we start now." After the meeting, Alice stayed behind with Martinez in the empty room. "What we're about to do," she said quietly, "crosses a line we can never uncross." Martinez looked at her with eyes that had seen too many wars. "They crossed it first, Doctor. We're just hitting back." On the far side of the moon, inside Luna Base Alpha, engineer Alan Peterson worked with his team day and night. As the lead weapons builder, Dr. Howard had picked him to turn her theories into real weapons. "The dark energy cores are stable," he told Alice when she came to check their progress. "But I'm worried about the targeting systems. We've never used this kind of tech in battle." Alice studied the sleek, tube-shaped devices being loaded into special missiles. Each one held enough power to tear the fabric of reality itself. "These aren't just weapons," she said softly. "With these, we announce ourselves to the entire galaxy." Alan nodded grimly. "After this, no one will ever think humans are weak again." The missiles looked simple from the outside, black metal tubes with small fins. But inside each one lay technology that could bend the laws of physics. They were humanity's answer to a threat they never expected. In a nearby room, Captain Olivia Carter studied maps of the Zeraxian home system. As Collins's chief tactical officer, she needed to find the perfect targets. Their main defense stations are here, here, and here, she told the planning team, pointing to key spots on the 3D map. Military bases cover about 30% of their planet. We can hit them all without touching civilian areas. Should we care about their civilians when they didn't care about ours? Asked a young officer. Carter fixed him with a stern look. Yes, because we're not them. We're better than that. Back on Earth, billions watched news of the attack with horror and rage. In cities across the planet, people gathered in public squares, demanding action. Leaders from every nation agreed. This could not stand unanswered. President Ben Harris addressed the world from the Oval Office. Today, humanity faces its greatest test. We have met an enemy who believes we are weak, who thinks we can be bullied, and slaughtered without consequence. They are wrong. His words echoed what many felt. Rage mixed with determination. Humanity had fought itself for centuries, but now faced something new. An outside threat to its very existence. In orbit around Earth, shipyards worked at full speed to prepare the fleet. Ships that had never been tested in real battle were loaded, with weapons and supplies. Crews said goodbye to families, not knowing if they would return. 3 days after the attack, Earth's response fleet was ready. 57 warships, led by Admiral Collins on the EDS Valiant, left our solar system, using experimental faster-than-light drives. Their target, the Zeraxian homeworld. The counterattack had begun. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council remained unaware. They believed humans would retreat in fear, maybe even abandon their colonies and hide in their home system. They had seen it happen with other species before. They didn't understand that humans were different. When backed into a corner, humans didn't cower. They struck back. Counselor Drekthar stood tall before the Galactic Council. His green scales shone under the bright lights as he showed a video of the destroyed human colony. 19 different alien species watched from their seats. As you can see, we have removed another threat to our galaxy, he said proudly. These humans were expanding too quickly and ignored our space boundaries. High Chancellor Vorex nodded from his high seat. His 6 eyes blinked slowly in approval. For 10,000 years, the Council had kept peace by following one simple rule. Kill new spacefaring races before they became strong enough to cause trouble. It had worked every time before. Did they fight back much? Asked Ambassador Telia. Her blue skin glowed softly as she leaned forward. Drekthar waved his clawed hand dismissively. Barely. Their technology is primitive. Their faster-than-light drives are basic, and their weapons were no match for our fleet. Are you sure this attack was enough? Vorex asked. Do we need to attack their home planet too? Our spies tell us they will run back to their home system and hide there, Drekthar said with confidence. Like all weak species, they'll... Suddenly, loud alarms cut him off. A scared Zeraxian aide ran into the room, breaking all rules of proper behavior. Counselor, the humans, they're attacking us. The huge screen in the middle of the room turned on, showing live video from the Zeraxian defense system. A fleet of human ships had appeared near the Zeraxian homeworld. Impossible, Drekthar whispered. Their ships aren't fast enough to get here so quickly. Ambassador Telia stood up, her eyes wide. It seems your information about humans was wrong, Counselor. On the bridge of the EDS Valiant, Admiral Collins looked at the Zeraxian defense fleet forming to fight them. As expected, they had 3 times as many ships as the humans, and their vessels were much bigger than Earth's largest battleships. They're calling us, sir, said Lieutenant Gray. Collins nodded. Put them on screen. The face of Counselor Drekthar appeared, his reptile-like features showing what Collins guessed was surprise. This is crazy, the alien said. You cannot win against us. Go back to your homeworld and maybe the Council will let your species live within your own solar system. Collins gave a small smile. I'm afraid we can't do that, Counselor. You see, humans have a special response when someone attacks us without reason. We call it payback. You are outnumbered and we have better weapons, Drekthar sneered. This is suicide. That's why I wanted to talk to you. Collins said calmly. We want you to understand exactly what's about to happen to your world and why. He nodded to Lieutenant Gray, who sent a data package to the Zyraxian command ship. Collins watched as Drek Thar's face changed when he saw the information. Details about what humans called the Phoenix Protocol. This is impossible, the alien whispered. Your species couldn't have made this technology. We did, Collins replied. And we built it for exactly this situation, as a last resort, one we never wanted to use. From inside the EDS Valiant, the first Phoenix missiles launched. Every ship in the human fleet fired similar missiles. The special weapons went right, past the Zyraxian defense ships moving too fast to be stopped. In the Galactic Council chamber, the representatives watched in horror as the missiles exploded in Zyraxia's upper atmosphere. But these weren't normal explosions. Each spot began to twist and warp, creating holes in the fabric of space and time. What have they done? High Chancellor Vorek shouted, standing up as alarms rang through the chamber. On the surface of Zyraxia, millions watched as the sky itself seemed to tear open. The Phoenix Protocol didn't kill through fire or blast. It changed the basic rules of physics in targeted areas. Gravity, magnetism, and atomic forces all went crazy in carefully chosen spots. The effect was devastating, but very precise. Military bases across the planet were torn apart as gravity suddenly became 100 times stronger in those areas. Weapon stations collapsed as their atoms lost cohesion. Defense shields flickered and died as their energy fields fell apart. But civilian cities remained untouched. The message was clear. Humans had the power to destroy the entire planet, but had chosen not to. Back on the Valiant, Collins watched the data coming in. First phase complete, he announced. Begin second phase. The human fleet moved toward the now confused Zyraxian defense forces. What followed wasn't just a battle. It was a demonstration. Earth ships performed moves that should have been impossible. With their supposed technology level, using weapons the Zyraxians had never seen before. Sir, Lieutenant Gray called out. Many Zyraxian ships are surrendering. Collins nodded. Accept their surrender. Get boarding teams ready. Within hours, the battle was over. The human fleet had lost 12 ships and thousands of crew members, but the victory was clear. As Collins prepared to speak to the Galactic Council directly, he knew that humanity had just shown the galaxy who they really were in the most dramatic way possible. Nothing would ever be the same again. On Zyraxia, shocked survivors walked through the ruins of their military bases. Captain Olivia Carter led a team of human soldiers through what had been the planet's main defense command center. Now it was just twisted metal and broken stone. How did they do this? A captured Zyraxian officer asked her. Your weapons, they change gravity itself. Carter looked at him coldly. We've spent centuries fighting ourselves. It taught us to be creative. In orbit above the planet, Dr. Alice Howard monitored the aftermath from a science vessel. The Phoenix Protocol had worked exactly as designed, destroying military targets while leaving civilian areas intact. The space-time ruptures are already healing, she reported to Admiral Collins. No permanent damage to the planet's environment, just as we planned. Collins nodded on the video screen. Good. I want the galaxy to know we're not monsters. We could have killed their entire world. They need to understand we chose not to. Meanwhile, emergency meetings were happening across the galaxy. Species that had looked down on humans as primitive now scrambled to learn more about this dangerous new race. Intelligence reports were updated. Defense plans were rewritten. On the Arcturian homeworld, their military leaders met in crisis. How could the humans have technology this advanced? Asked General Kor. Our reports said they were at least a century behind us. They hid their true capabilities, Ambassador Telia replied. A wise strategy. But what concerns me more is their restraint. They had the power to destroy an entire planet but chose surgical strikes instead. Is that weakness or strength? Someone asked. Telia's eyes narrowed. That, my friends, is the most dangerous kind of strength. A species that powerful with that much self-control cannot be predicted using our old models. Back on the EDS Valiant, Collins prepared his message to the Galactic Council. He chose his words carefully, knowing they would shape humanity's place in the galaxy for centuries to come. Today, he would tell them, you learned that humanity will not be bullied or exterminated, but you also learned something more important. We are not like you. We do not kill without reason. Remember that the next time you consider us a threat. As the human fleet regrouped, news of their victory spread across Earth. Humanity had faced its first interstellar war, and won. But the real challenge was just beginning. What kind of galactic power would humanity become? The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. 19 alien species sat in stunned silence as Admiral Frank Collins stood in the center of the room. He was the first human ever to address the full council. Let me be very clear, Collins said, his voice strong and firm. Earth does not want war with any of you. What we did to Xeraxia was a fair response to their unprovoked attack on our colony. Nothing more, nothing less. High Chancellor Vorex leaned forward, on his tall seat. His ancient eyes studied the human admiral carefully. You destroyed the Xeraxian military in hours, Admiral Collins. Some would call that more than fair. We showed mercy, Collins replied. Our weapons were set to avoid civilian areas. If we wanted to, we could have made their entire planet uninhabitable. This statement hung in the air. Many council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Ambassador Telia of the Arcturian Confederation stood up to speak. Her blue skin glowed softly under the lights. For 10,000 years, the Council has kept peace by eliminating potential threats before they grow too strong. Your species was judged to be dangerous. By whose standards? Collins asked sharply. You made judgments about humanity without ever trying to talk to us. You killed 30,000 innocent people based on nothing but fear of something new. Dr. Alice Howard stepped forward to join Collins. After the victory at Xeraxia, she had insisted on joining the diplomatic mission. As the creator of the Phoenix Protocol, she felt responsible for explaining what it meant. The technology you saw, she addressed the council, is only a small part of humanity's scientific achievements. We've spent centuries developing alone, solving problems you may never have faced because of your different evolution. She activated a display showing the science behind the space-time manipulation technology. Several council scientists reacted, with visible shock when they understood what they were seeing. Impossible, whispered a Novalian scientist. They've combined quantum gravity with dark energy control. Alice continued. What you see as aggression is actually humanity's defining trait, adaptation. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us at every turn. Our planet has extreme weather, natural disasters, and predators that shaped how we developed. We don't look for fights, but we've learned to respond strongly when threatened. Chancellor Vorex looked at his advisors before speaking, to Collins again. What does Earth want from this council, Admiral? Collins's answer was simple. Recognition, respect, and a complete change to your first contact methods. The talks lasted for 3 days. Throughout this time, more human ships arrived in council space, not as a threat, but to show Earth's commitment to establishing a permanent diplomatic presence. Daniel Martinez, Earth's newly appointed ambassador to the Galactic Council, worked hard alongside Collins and Howard to write what would later be called the Phoenix Accords. This document created new rules for first contact with new species and banned unprovoked military action against emerging spacefaring civilizations. You need to understand, Martinez explained during a tense meeting, that humanity has no interest in controlling the galaxy. We want cooperation, trade, and mutual defense, but we will not be pushed around or threatened. On the final day of talks, Chancellor Vorex made a surprising announcement. The Galactic Council would be reformed. The old policy of preemptive elimination would be abandoned, replaced by a diplomatic first contact approach. And humanity would be given full member status, the first species in 5,000 years to achieve such recognition without centuries of probationary status. Some will see this as giving in to threats, Vorex acknowledged as the council prepared to vote. I see it as evolution. The arrival of humanity has shown fundamental flaws in our approach to galactic leadership. The vote was not unanimous. 3 species, including what remained of the Xeraxian leadership, voted against human membership. But the majority carried the vote forward. After the session ended, Collins was approached by Ambassador Telia. "You've changed everything," she said quietly. "Not through your weapons, impressive though they are, but through your restraint. You could have destroyed Xeraxia completely. The fact that you didn't speaks volumes about your species." Collins nodded. "Humanity has a long history of fighting among ourselves. We've learned the hard way that victory without mercy only creates future enemies." As the human delegation prepared to return to their ships, news arrived from Earth. Construction had begun on a permanent embassy complex on the Council homeworld. Humanity was here to stay. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other species were still trying to understand what had happened. In private meetings, military leaders from a dozen worlds reviewed the footage from Xeraxia. "Their technology is beyond anything we expected," said General Kor of the Arcturian fleet. "But more concerning is their strategic thinking." "Explain," demanded his superior. "They didn't just win a battle, they won the peace that followed," Kor replied. "By targeting only military installations and sparing civilians, they positioned themselves as reasonable and merciful. Had they destroyed the planet completely, the rest of the Council would have united against them out of fear." On Earth, similar conversations were happening. President Ben Harris met with his advisors to discuss humanity's new role in galactic politics. "We've been granted a seat at the table," said Defense Secretary Laura Evans. "Now we need to decide what to do with it." "We build bridges," Harris replied firmly. "We trade, we learn, we grow, but we never forget what happened at New Phoenix Colony." Later that week, the first alien ambassadors arrived on Earth. 19 different species sent representatives to establish embassies in New Washington. Humans looked up in wonder as ships of various designs entered Earth's atmosphere. First, contact had come with bloodshed, but perhaps the future could be different. Dr. Alice Howard watched from her laboratory as the news showed crowds greeting the alien delegations. She felt conflicted about her role in recent events. "Having second thoughts?" asked General Martinez, who had come to visit her. "The Phoenix Protocol was designed as a last resort," she said quietly. "I never truly believed we would use it." "You saved Earth," Martinez replied. "And perhaps the galaxy too. Sometimes the old ways need to be broken for better ones to emerge." Across the stars, on the recovering world of Xeraxia, reconstruction efforts had begun. To the surprise of many Xeraxians, human engineers had arrived to help rebuild key infrastructure. Not military facilities, but power plants, hospitals, and water treatment systems. Lieutenant Susan Gray, now serving as liaison to the reconstruction effort, met with Xeraxian civil leader Vortek. "Why are you helping us?" he asked bluntly. "After what we did to your colony." Gray considered this question carefully. "Because that's what humans do. We fight hard when we must, but we build when we can. Our strength isn't just in our weapons, but in our ability to move forward." As the first trade agreements between Earth and Council worlds were signed, humanity's place in the galaxy began to take shape. It was not the role the Council had originally envisioned for them, that of another extinct species, but something new and unexpected, a force for change in a stagnant order. Back on the EDS Valiant, Admiral Collins looked out at the stars. They didn't just represent distant suns anymore, but homes to species that were now allies, partners, and friends. "Was it worth it?" asked Captain Olivia Carter, who had joined him on the observation deck. Collins thought about the lives lost at New Phoenix, the battles fought, and the new peace established. "Ask me again in 100 years, he said. "That's when we'll know if we truly changed the galaxy for the better." 6 months after the battle at Xeraxia, the skyline of New Washington, Earth's capital city, had changed. 19 new buildings now stood among the human structures. Each one was an embassy from a different alien species of the Galactic Council. Their strange and beautiful designs showed the diverse cultures that humans now called neighbors in space. In his office overlooking the embassy district, President Ben Harris read the latest report from Ambassador Martinez. Trade deals had been signed with 12 alien species, science exchange programs were going well, and joint military exercises were planned with the Arcturian and Novalian fleets. His aide, Olivia Scott, came in with another report. Sir, the rebuilding of New Phoenix Colony is ahead of schedule. The Arcturians have given us advanced terraforming help that's speeding things up by nearly a year. Harris nodded, still amazed by how quickly the galaxy had adjusted to humanity's presence. And how are our new friends liking Earth? Mixed results, Olivia replied with a smile. The Novalian ambassador got sick from eating too much chocolate. The Arcturians have fallen in love with our music, especially jazz. And the Galvorian diplomats have asked to study our oceans, saying they're the most diverse water environments they've ever seen. Harris laughed. And how is the Council's military restructuring going? Just as planned. The new Mutual Defense Initiative has started recruiting member species for the Joint Fleet. They've asked Admiral Collins to be a strategic advisor during the change. On the other side of the galaxy, aboard the newly built Earth Council Joint Ship Unity, Admiral Collins stood with his former enemy, now ally, Fleet Commander Telex of the Arcturian forces. The Unity was the first of a new type of ship designed with combined technologies from multiple Council species, including important human contributions. Your Phoenix Protocol has been officially listed as a banned weapon under the new Council rules, Telex noted as they watched a training exercise. Many are relieved. Collins nodded. So are we. It was never meant to be used in the first place. Yet, you did use it, Telex pointed out. Quite effectively. Sometimes the best way to ensure peace is to show that war would be too terrible, Collins replied. An old human concept called mutually assured destruction. Not our proudest idea, but it works. In a lab aboard the EDS Valiant, now serving as Earth's flagship for diplomatic missions, Dr. Alice Howard met with scientists from across the Council. Her laboratory had become a center for cooperative research, focusing on peaceful uses of the technologies that had so frightened the galaxy just months before. The space-time manipulation principles behind the Phoenix Protocol have amazing potential for faster-than-light travel, she explained to her colleagues. By creating controlled small distortions rather than destructive tears, we could potentially make interstellar journeys 10 times faster. Dr. Nixala, a famous Novalian physicist, raised what passed for an eyebrow. You're suggesting we turn a weapon of unmatched destructive power into an engine system? Alice smiled. That's what humans do best, Doctor. We take the terrible and find ways to make it wonderful. Back on Xeraxia, the rebuilding continued under the watch of international observers. Though many Xeraxians still hated humans, others had come to see that Earth's measured response had been an act of mercy. The Phoenix Protocol had deliberately spared civilian areas, even while military bases were destroyed. Counselor Drek Thar, stripped of his military power but still serving as a civil administrator, watched as human and Arcturian engineers worked to restore power to a damaged city. I don't understand, he said to Lieutenant Susan Gray, who now served as liaison to the rebuilding effort. Your species had every reason to destroy us completely. Gray thought about this as they looked at the work below. There's an old saying, on Earth, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. We wanted justice, not extinction. Some would call it weakness, Drekthar observed. We call it civilization, Gray replied. 1 year to the day after the attack on New Phoenix Colony, representatives from all Council species gathered at the site of the rebuilt settlement. What had once been ruins was now a thriving community again, its buildings showing designs from various galactic cultures alongside distinctly human styles. A memorial garden at the colony's center held 30,000 Earth trees, one for each. Life lost in the attack. In the middle stood a simple stone monument with an inscription in multiple languages, including Xeraxian. In memory of those who died, in hope for those who follow, the stars belong to all. As ceremonial flames were lit around the monument, Admiral Collins stood with President Harris and the gathered officials. The path that had brought humanity to this moment had been paved with blood, but what lay ahead promised something better. A year ago, Harris addressed the gathered representatives, Humanity was unknown to the galactic community. Today, we stand as partners in a new era of cooperation and mutual respect. He turned to face High Chancellor Vorex, who had made the unprecedented gesture of traveling to Earth for the ceremony. Chancellor, on behalf of humanity, I thank you for your leadership in turning crisis into opportunity. Vorex, his ancient eyes reflecting the ceremonial flames, replied, It is not I who transformed the crisis, President Harris. It was humanity's response to aggression that forced us to reconsider 10,000 years of policy. You had the power to destroy, yet chose a harder path, measured justice followed by reconciliation. In orbit above New Phoenix, the Unity hosted a reception for diplomats from across the galaxy. The ship's observation deck offered a spectacular view of the colony below and the stars beyond. Dr. Howard found herself speaking with a young Xeraxian scientist named Kelvaran. Unlike many of his kind, he had openly supported cooperation with humans from the beginning. Your people's technology is remarkable, he said, but what impresses me more is how quickly you've adapted to galactic society. Howard smiled. Adaptation is what we do best. It's how we survived on Earth, and it's how we'll thrive among the stars. There are still those who fear you, Kelvaran admitted. The Phoenix Protocol showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. Good, Howard replied. Fear can be healthy, as long as it's mixed with respect. But what I hope they learn over time is that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. What is it then? The young scientist asked. Our capacity for change, she said, looking out at the stars. For forgiveness. For building something new from the ashes of conflict. As night fell over New Phoenix Colony, Admiral Collins found himself standing alone at the memorial garden. The names of the dead scrolled across a holographic display, each life remembered. Lieutenant Gray approached quietly, coming to stand beside him. Do you think we did the right thing, sir? She asked, softly. The Phoenix Protocol, the counterattack, all of it? Collins was silent for a long time, watching the stars appear overhead. Stars that now represented not just distant suns, but homes to species both allied and friendly. We showed them who we are, he finally replied. Not just our strength, but our restraint. Not just our technology, but our humanity. Above them, visible through the darkening sky, the lights of ships from a dozen worlds moved across the night. No longer potential threats, but partners in a new galactic order shaped by humanity's most unexpected quality. Mercy in victory. From the Galactic Council chambers to the rebuilt streets of New Phoenix Colony, a simple truth had become clear to all. Underestimating humanity had been the Council's greatest mistake, one the galaxy would never make again. The end.